Hello, Mun token holders. This is Korean back with this week's news in crypto. So this is a new segment that I'm trying to do and make it a regular segment. Again, depends how much you like it. Covering the week's price action. As you can see, I'm looking at CoinMarketCap here. Some sort of major news highlights, trying to cover the major stuff as well as the ecosystems. And let's see. You can give me some feedback on the episode and let me know what you like, what you don't like, what I should be covering, what I shouldn't be covering, how you'd like me to change the episode. Anyway, let's get started. So the first thing I always want to do in the start of this kind of episode is have a look at CoinMarketCap so we can see how the market is doing. At the moment that I'm recording this episode, it is Sunday, 2:23 p.m. Taiwanese time. So that would be 1:23 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in America, or New York, Boston, Washington, that sort of stuff. All right, so as we can see, Bitcoin, there's been a lot of red recently, of course, because of the Omicron virus that started, that South Africa reported, which is actually my home country, that a lot of people are attributing this to the way the market is performing. I don't know. Anyway, Bitcoin at $1 trillion, Ethereum sort of slightly under $500 million. Again, we see, the 7-day average down 7%, down 7%, BNB down 1.8%. BNB's been surprisingly resilient. Tether, a stable coin, Solana down 11%. If you guys were on Reddit, you probably would have seen Black Friday sales for crypto. That was kind of hysterical. So a lot of people were loading up on coins there. Not financial advice, just something I wanted to point out. ADA down 20% to $1.5. XRP down 15% to back under $1. Again, USDC, a stable coin. Polkadot down 19%. I remember, I think less than a month ago, or maybe 6 weeks ago, Polkadot was at $50. Dogecoin at down to 0.20 cents on the dollar per Doge. Avalanche sort of squeezed out of the top 10, gone down 20% to $108, but it's still staying at that $100 mark. Shiba down to 0.00037. This is, I just say 37. This is obviously, it's easier for me to keep track of it that way. CRO, or Crypto.com's coin, is still up 24% on the 7-day. So, he's the only one in the green here. Besides BUSD, which is a stable coin as well. Oh, Luna up as well, 5.58%. Wrapped Bitcoin down, Litecoin down, and then we're going to stop there. So, who knows what's going to happen? I think a lot of stuff is developing as far as the coronavirus is concerned in South Africa. So just to keep your eye on the news, keep your eye on what's happening institutionally speaking, keep your eye on what the buyer sentiment is. There are lots of things. If you listen to an episode I did earlier with the guys from Red Sea Crypto, who, they monitor social media sentiment when it comes to crypto. So, that's always something to keep an eye on. Then let's look at PlanB's very, very famous Twitter. His handle, 1 trillion USD, flow model 98K November close will probably be a first miss. That's very true because he did nail August, September, and October. So if you were in the Mun Tokens Telegram or the Chinese Telegram, they would have talking about this though. Like, yeah, this guy's been right all the time. Then he mentions S2F model, which is the stock to flow model, not affected and indeed on track towards 100K. So if you're like me, a very regular person, you have no idea what S2F is. So, making this video, I'm like, oh, I should probably look this up and probably explain what is S2F. So I have a link here. Again, all the links, just like every episode I do, will be in the show notes. So if you want to read this full article on coincentral.com, it'll explain what is the stock to flow model. But basically, a higher ratio, right, indicates more scarcity, which in turn indicates a higher value. Investors originally applied a stock to flow to gold and silver, but have since modified it to apply to crypto. And that makes total sense because we always hear the rhetoric in the media, Bitcoin is digital gold. So of course they're applying the S2F model to digital gold. And, the stock to flow model, let's go back to PlanB's Twitter, is looking pretty good. Like we're, so 10,000 roughly about here. And it shows like, it doesn't look very far between where we're at right now at 50 something thousand to 100,000, but I'm still very skeptical about whether we will actually get to 100K or not. I think we will hit an all-time high. And again, I'm going to say this a lot of times during the video, not financial advice, but I don't think we're going to get the 100K that a lot of people have predicted. Will Clement has mentioned, not mentioned 100K. Willy Woo has mentioned 100K. I think he mentioned 120. Anyway, that is the state of the market. Let's move on to Stripe. It says Stripe is opening to accepting crypto for payments 3 years after ending Bitcoin support. Stripe isn't ruling out accepting cryptocurrency as a method of payment in the future, co-founder John Collison said on Tuesday. The company ended support for Bitcoin payments in 2018, citing volatility and a lack of efficiency in making everyday transactions. Asked whether Stripe would offer crypto support again, Collison said, "We don't yet, but I think it's not implausible that we would." So this kind of seems like a not very possible. The way the headline is like, yeah, Stripe is going to think about it. So if you guys don't know who Stripe is one of the most popular online payment platforms. If you're buying anything online like Etsy, eBay, a lot of places use Stripe to process online payments. Lots of odd websites use Stripe to process payments. So if they accepted crypto, that would be really awesome. You could probably just sort of, I can imagine the way Stripe organizes it. They show you an address, you deposit money into the address. Oh, you just hook up your MetaMask, that would be the easier way. What am I saying? And then MetaMask just sort of like MetaMask typically does, shows how much you're paying, shows your gas fee, and you pay the money. That would be pretty cool, right? So another really cool thing, and I think if Stripe gets there, I remember earlier this year, one of the very popular machine makers, they were making or integrating Bitcoin payments and into the ATM machines, and they're, I think, the biggest ATM machine maker in the States, which is really cool, and that bodes very well for crypto. So let's see how it goes. Okay, let's move on to a Cointelegraph article by Brian Newer on November 26th, 2021. 1 million Shiba Inu users can't be wrong, can they? With over 1 million token holders, Shiba Inu looks set for great things ahead, despite trading more than 50% below its all-time high. Shiba Inu has reached an adoption milestone by surpassing the 1 million holder mark, even though the meme coin is trading 50% below its all-time high. News of the milestone and daily price increases has energized the Shiba Inu community since the official Shiba Inu Twitter account tweeted a shout later on Thursday. So really good, 1 million holders, that's good. I've also seen sort of news that coincides with this, that a lot of whales are buying, some of the coins whales are buying, of course, Bitcoin, Ether, and a lot of them are also buying Shiba Inu. Again, this is sort of rumor and speculation. Do your own research. But that's good. I mean, a lot of people holding Shiba. Shiba is at, we just looked at it right now, was like 37, right? And was at 42 at this point. So we can expect it to go lower maybe. But again, like this coin is one of the most popular coins in Taiwan. Lots of people buy this. Lots of people buy Doge because, number one, it's affordable. Taiwanese people, or I would say Asian people, don't like to sort of go out on a limb when they're investing in things. I don't like to invest, especially when it comes to crypto. Asian culture is very investment conservative. So there's not a lot of risk taking as well. This goes back to that very famous IBM psychologist who did the study back in the 80s. That when it talks about risk adversity, Asian culture tends to be less risk adverse and Western culture tends to be more risk adverse. So, but I do know a lot of people who have purchased Shiba Inu. I sort of held out until very recently and I purchased some Shiba Inu as well. Not a lot. I mean, I think there's a lot of opportunities for meme coins to form communities, and that's what Shiba did. I mean, from being a meme coin to having staking and NFTs and a bunch of other functionality on the Shiba website, I mean, that is truly impressive. Let's move on to our next story for today. The next story for today is from NPR. So this is a really cool story and something I hope happens more. The creation of DAOs, which are decentralized autonomous organizations. It says crypto enthusiasts want to buy an NBA team after failing to purchase US Constitution. Okay. Thousands of cryptocurrency investors recently raised more than $40 million, nearly, but ultimately fell short of purchasing a copy of the US Constitution. Now, a separate group of crypto fans is building momentum with another acquisition target, an NBA franchise. In both cases, the crypto enthusiasts organize under what is known as a decentralized autonomous organization, or a DAO, which is an online group with a collective bank account and a mission statement. So I think, like, buying the Constitution, those guys actually had gotten together with Sotheby's or Christie's. I don't remember who was doing the auction. If they had raised the money and they had won, Christie's or the auction organization said they would have accepted the money. The problem here is, how do you convince the NBA to accept the money, and not to mention the NBA to accept, 100, 500, 2,000 people deciding the fate of an NBA team? And especially when the NBA wants to sort of have a very uniform way that they run the NBA and all the owners run the NBA, because they're trying to project a uniform image. So whether this actually happens, if it does happen, that would be really cool, because this might be another way to sort of energize the NBA following, because they know if a DAO actually purchases an NBA team, I can imagine a lot of crypto people like, yeah, I'm gonna support this team, I'm gonna buy their stuff. I would probably do that. And I hate basketball, let me tell you. Basketball is the most boring game to me. So really, really cool. And they give a target, like they said. For one thing, it is nowhere in the universe of what a group would need to place an incredible bid on even the least valuable NBA team, which is the Memphis Grizzlies. So Memphis is in Tennessee, which is one of the southern states in the US. So they would need $1.3 billion, which is, it's very entirely possible. A lot of cryptos have, Ether has a market cap of, $500 million. So if they could get like $2 billion, they could purchase a crypto team and leave something extra over for the gas fees and the NBA itself. So I hope more of this stuff does happen, instead of, the wealthy 1% holding everything. It'd be nice to share the ownership of something really cool amongst regular people. Whether that happens or not is another story, but we'll have to see. All right, so the thing that I want to do, a second to last thing, is have a look at Solana, have a look at Avalanche. Solana and Avalanche, of course, one of the two hottest competitive Ethereum ecosystems out there. Solana just hit 1 million followers this past week, which is really cool for them. And so they have this graphic over here, and this looks like some kind of Solana NFT game. Looks really cool. It reminds me of Animal Crossing, which is a game that I really, really like. And it says GM. All right, and then they mentioned on the COO of Solana, Raj Gokul, was on the FTX podcast, talks about scaling the product layer, rapid experimentation, iteration, and more. Very, very cool. 21.7K views on the actual podcast. I wish we can get up to that kind of number on our podcast. So, okay, and then that is it for Solana. It talks about Slope. Time to take a deep dive into the third batch of dApps integrated in the Slope wallet. Acumen, DeFi Land, Fabric, Synthetics, Sonar, Jet. I don't know what any of these things are. Banksy, which I would imagine is NFTs. Selenium, we know, because Selenium is in our proposed Solana ecosystem index. Okay, Solana energy use. If you haven't read this, right, they compare Solana's energy to a Google search, and that one Solana transaction is like 2 Google searches, which is pretty bad, because we know a lot of people do multiple Google searches throughout the day. Okay, let's move on to Avalanche next and see how Avalanche is doing. So Avalanche, blazingly fast, low cost, and eco-friendly. All right, Avalanche, see you in Barcelona. The Avalanche Summit, right, happening in Barcelona. Who knows whether that's still going to happen? I would assume so. Crypto people are fairly independent. And then it goes to Platypus. Our alpha mainnet launches next Monday. I have no idea what Platypus is. Looks kind of cool. Beginner's Guide to Earning plus 15% APY in DeFi using Avalanche. All right, Google search trends for AVAX. People are intrigued. Yeah, that's definitely going up. I'm not surprised there. Using the Avalanche blockchain, CAYG's cloud-based platform provides state and local officials with decentralized, transparent, and cost-efficient system, minimizes fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay, very cool. All right, Crypto Tuesday with Avalanche. On November 30th, you can purchase any item you want on shopping.io using AVAX with up to 50% discount and enjoying 2% discount on top of that. Wow, that is pretty cool. I might have to have a look at that. Okay. All right, let's move on to the last story for today. Like any news program or any podcast, I always like to end on a happy note. Even if you're not American, you should always be thankful for something in your life. So 5 reasons for crypto to be thankful. CoinDesk Chief Content Officer picks out 5 big trends to be pleased about by Michael J. Casey. All right, and this is a really cool picture. So if you're on the podcast, you're not seeing any of these visuals, go to our YouTube, have a look at that. All right, let's close out these NFT Dragons adverts. So the advance of layer 2 scaling. I'm not going to read any of these, but we know layer 2 scaling solutions on Ethereum are getting better and better. We have a product at the moment called Pico, which is a Polygon ecosystem index, which allows you to invest in everything in the Polygon ecosystem. Again, not financial advice. So layer 2 solutions are getting better. Bitcoin's Lightning Network, Polygon's solutions, Arbitrum, all really, really cool. Developing world crypto innovation. All right, more innovation around everywhere in the world. Centralized cryptocurrencies, the expansion of DeFi projects in Nigeria, the outsized role played by the Philippines in the global advance of play-to-earn crypto. We know that already with Axie Infinity providing income in the Philippines and Indonesia as well. 2 places really close to Taiwan. And then number 3, the institutions have arrived. So again, we've seen this earlier this year. Big name investors, big hedge funds, banks are getting into crypto, investing more into Bitcoin, investing more into Ethereum as well. And number 4, NFT creativity burst. Oh God, I got into NFTs as well. The cheap side, which are CNFTs. But yeah, NFTs are still making big money. Beeple, of course, they mentioned Beeple's NFT, which made huge money, but I see it all the time on Twitter. You know, the Bored Apes selling for $1 million, $2 million, $3 million. Even when the market is down, NFT people are still making tons of money. Okay, protocol upgrades, Bitcoin's Taproot and Ethereum's London hard fork. All right, you know, all this stuff is happening. Taproot has already happened. Ethereum's London hard fork has happened as well. And I was going to show this as well, is that Vitalik Buterin suggested yesterday, or could have been Friday, a new EIP to reduce the Ethereum gas fees because they are expensive. So hopefully they implement that soon, because we don't know when proof of stake is going to come, because it was delayed from December of this year to sometime next year. So anyway, guys, really, really cool. Lots of cool stories that you guys should be following.